Hello everybody, my name is Yuriy and I'm co-founder and CTO at company Acupower. Today I'm going to describe to you how MSMQ works in Acumatica, how RabbitMQ works in Acumatica, and what kind of differences, what kind of commonalities, and something like why shouldn't you dig such deep unless you really have super solid reasons to do this. So prior to 2022 R2 version of Acumatica, everything was done through MSMQ. And when I say everything, I mean specifically speaking, push notifications of Acumatica and business events of Acumatica. But starting from 2022 R2, Acumatica added RabbitMQ. Let me show it to you how it looks in installer. If you go to data folder of Acumatica, I want to show you data folder of 2022 R1. And you see, here we have just set of files. But data folder of Acumatica 2022 R2, it has additional folder components. And here we have RabbitMQ server. It means once you're going to install Acumatica, on one of the steps you are going to see something like this. Don't install RabbitMQ. If you hit this checkbox during installation of Acumatica instance, you will, like your Acumatica, will use MSMQ. And how MSMQ look like, you can find out that information in computer management. Here there is private queues, and what Acumatica is going to do, Acumatica will create 3 additional private queues, which will start from prefix admin queue and something, commerce queue and something, event queue and something, and primary queue and something. So sorry, not 3 but 4 queues which Acumatica is going to use. If you do not hit this checkbox, then Acumatica, take note that this checkbox is turned off by default, Acumatica is going to use RabbitMQ. And myself, I'm very happy about it, and the reason why I'm super excited and super happy about it is that RabbitMQ, it constantly evolves, and in my opinion it has a bit more feature. Before I continue with next part on how it is implemented inside of Acumatica, I want to invite everybody to subscribe to my videos and hit a like button. Before I continue to describing of RabbitMQ, I want to mention that if you want to follow next steps of my video, you will need to install Chocolatey on your computer. In order to install Chocolatey, you can go to my blog and you can see I have an article, Chocolatey usage for installing program. In PowerShell you will need to run this command and this command. After that you will have Chocolatey, and then in your PowerShell you should be able to type choco install RabbitMQ. Without it, Acumatica will install for you server. As you can see here, we have a component here, it is RabbitMQ server, which is perfectly fine for functionality, but will not be perfectly fine for seeing what's going on in the background. You not necessarily need it, only if you really want to dig deep enough inside of what's going on behind the curtains. And now let's continue. So in order to continue, I want to mention I have already Acumatica instance installed with RabbitMQ, and I have business event which monitors GI 00027, and let me show to you how you can monitor RabbitMQ. So this is RabbitMQ installed. Let me reload. Let me sign out, log out for now. If you want to monitor what's going on, RabbitMQ by default it have username and password guest. So I click on login, I know, overview, and take note. While I will do some modifications here, RabbitMQ will be used. Pay attention to this part. So I'm opening DB case. I make some modification here during the COVID-19. Okay, I cannot edit it because it is closed. Result, I will open another one. This one. And take note. I click on save and take note this part now. You see, some messages are sent. Some messages are sent, processed, they put into queue, they removed from queue. Some other put in queue, removed from queue, and that's it. And here you can see Acumatica installer creates 3 queues: commerce queue, event queue, and primary queue. What I was surprised in comparison with MSMQ, if I go here, if to compare MSMQ and RabbitMQ, I found out that for each new Acumatica instance, Acumatica will create separate queues in MSMQ, but in RabbitMQ, Acumatica has only 3: commerce, event, and primary, and some kind of GUID. While in MSMQ, you will have each time 3 new queues are created. I don't know why Acumatica team decided to follow this route, but this is they did what they did. As you can see here, this is Acumatica release note for developers. Here it says depreciation of MSMQ for internal notification queues. Now I want to describe a bit more about library, which is responsible for internal queues, and you see PX RabbitMQ client. Let me show you DLL, which is responsible for RabbitMQ. And here, quite interesting, you can see username and password is guest, which is kind of funny to see, but for me quite interesting is that all classes which work with RabbitMQ, or I would say almost all classes, they have internal modifier. RabbitMQ producer, internal. RabbitMQ consumer, internal. RabbitMQ client exception, internal, and so on and so on. The only exception is, which I found, is event message. If to sum up, Acumatica, it seems like Acumatica doesn't want you to be able to meddle with their RabbitMQ at all, unless some kind of very easy access, and I kind of can understand why, because Acumatica wants every developer work only through push notifications and other ways to communicate with Acumatica, and completely avoid of developers meddling into Acumatica RabbitMQ or MSMQ, because if we meddle with that, we may potentially cause more troubles than give more results. But at least I hope this video helped you to satisfy your curiosity. If you want me to motivate, record more videos, subscribe and hit like button. Thank you very much for your attention.